Hey, this is Calvin with podcast number 11. Yeah. Um, y'all remember, I don't know if you remember, but this plot right here, um, everything in there with the exception of the flowers started from a seed. Everything started from the seed. And y'all remember me putting the seeds in the ground. Some of you remember me putting the seeds in the ground. And this is what has happened with those seeds. Everything in there comes from a seed. And I'm real excited about this because I'm looking at an idea that I had some time ago about growing our own food and was it a possibility? And I knew that it would be, but I thought about this garden, and now it's come to be, and I know what it took for it to get to where it is, and I'm kind of I'm kind of I'm more than excited about it. It's like a movement for me, that has blossomed into something uh, that I didn't have as high an expectation as what has actually happened. And this thing right here, this is where the I had a compost pile here, and when I was pulling weeds and all that out of that little plot, when I was digging that ground up, I threw everything over here. And Nicole had already put some leaves here that she had raked together and put here, so it covered the grass that used to be here. And so I cleaned all that up a few days ago and planted some seeds. And look at that. I mean, it's just amazing that things are turning out much better than I expected. And then we got the greenhouse over here. And as I told y'all, I still got to put some plastic over the entire greenhouse. But you see, I've done the doors thus far. And that's what's going to be over the entire greenhouse. And I'm still waiting for the weather to be in a place where it's going to be constant. I want 80 degrees for at least 2 days so I can put that plastic over there. Because like I told you guys before, it makes it more pliable and you can stretch it better, and you want to stretch it as much as you can. I didn't clean this up purposely. I didn't do it like I did that because I don't really know how I'm going to set this up. But look at my corn, y'all. That's corn, and we got tomatoes. Now that's another one that's one that I didn't start with seeds. That one started with a plant. I bought a small plant. But I said I got to grow some tomatoes from seeds. So this is my little tomato plant here, you know. And then here's another one over here that came from seeds, you know. The carrots, here they are over here. The carrots and all those came from seeds. You can see them, little carrot plants, And as I said, over here is the corn. This is corn, 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 corn. And the rest of this stuff is weeds, with the exception of watermelon. Watermelon here, watermelon here. Where was the other one? Oh, yeah, one over here. Again, all this is from seeds. And the reason that I'm stressing that it's from seeds is because we got some stuff going on in the world with what's happening with black men, what's happening to black men that has been happening to black men, to black women, to black children for centuries. We talking over 400 years of abuse, and it's all predicated on the what happened in the 1700s, where they were gonna make slavery. I don't know what you call it. I want to say commodity. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a necessary thing. We got to have slavery to make some money. And so they had to figure out, because they were abolitionists in the 1700s, so they had to figure out, how can we justify slavery? And the way they did it was to say that black people were inferior and were made for the purpose of being slaves. And in the meantime, we as white people can help them to become better than animals, but at the same time we have to understand that they are, and we have to promote that. But we can tame them, but they're still animals. And that kind of dynamic has been put in the DNA, or is in the DNA of a lot of people, you know, and they still believe to this day that we are inferior. Thereby, to take the life of a black man is not really a big thing, you know. But I'd like to think about us thinking about why or how could somebody do that. But the fact of the matter is, if you believe in the myth that your great grandparents were told, and it's passed all the way down to you, and there's been nothing to say that that's a false thing that's being told, you're gonna believe that. And so to take the life of a human being, that's one thing. But if you're taking the life of an animal, that's something entirely different. So you're looking at me as if I'm a dog and it's okay to take my life, and that's a mindset. As far-fetched as it may seem to you, I know that's a mindset. You know, there's no way in the world that a passionate, compassionate human being is going to take the life of his brother or his sister, and that's what we all are, you know. But to take the life of an animal is a totally different story. Kind of harsh, but it's the truth. And then we look at what has happened in terms of a response to that killing, you know, and we're looking at the rioting and the looting and that kind of thing. I don't know if all of us have been made aware that the first brick that was thrown through a plate glass window was by a white police officer who was not in his police gear, but by the same token, he felt that if I do this is my thinking. It's not necessarily a fact, but it's my thinking. But if I do this, then it can justify what we're doing to black people. Because look at them now; they're rioting and that kind of thing. And I initiated to prove that point that they're animals. You know what I mean? And so a lot of things that are going on, I think we have to really investigate and find out for ourselves what the truth is. Because for me, what has happened is that the coronavirus kind of started it off, and then the killing set it off, you know. And it's like you get a blemish on your hand, your face, or whatever, and what happens is that blemish is healing on the inside, but all the waste that caused it is sitting there and is putrefying and getting acidic and all those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden, it seems like a whitehead forms on the tip of that bump, or that blotch, not blotch, but that bump in your skin, and it busts open. It erupts. And that's what's happening now. You know, this thing has erupted. That blackhead has become a whitehead and is busted open. And now what we're going to do to start the healing process. And again, the reason I brought up the seeds and what the seeds have produced, we have to put a seed in our consciousness. We have to set a seed in our consciousness. And that seed is saying that we can do wondrous things like this. We can stop this mess. Each of us has something inside of us, you know, that we have been given, you know, is divine, you know, everybody, you know, and what we have to do is understand the power that we have, because we're looking at our powerlessness, you know, and not understanding that we are powerless because we don't use our power. You got 1% of the population that has a great percentage of the money, and we believe that they are too powerful for us to do anything about it, so we just adhere to what they're putting out. We don't have to do that, y'all, because you know what Bill Gates, the Koch brothers, or whatever you call them, the big bank CEOs, well, not the CEOs, but basically the owners of the bank, although they don't call them that. And all this 1%, do you know what they're doing? Jeff Bezos of Amazon, do you know what they're doing? They're thinking about, how can I live forever and maintain the style that I've grown accustomed to? How can I do that? And that's their objective. That's what they're working on. And we think they looking at us and trying to figure out how to make more money. They already got that set. But the thing that's going to mess them up is if we realize our power, if we set into our consciousness the understanding that we as a unit can overcome the mess that has been created, the eruption that is causing us to be in the state of mind that we are. We're scared, we're worried about what's going to happen next. What we have to understand is that what's going to happen next is what we do about what's happening now. So the time has come for us to act. I just listened to the minister at Trinity on 95th Street, and something he said made a lot of sense to me, and I'm taking it to heart. And that he said that we're in a moment that we have to turn into a movement. So we're all scared, we're all worried about our future, but the fact of the matter is, what are we gonna do about our future? So I'm asking all of you, think about who you are and what you're gonna do. Reassess the whole uh, all of what you're seeing. Reassess that. What role have I played in all of this? How have I contributed to the degrading of this country and the world? And what am I going to do? What am I going to change about myself that's going to make it better? And so again, we got to plant that seed in our consciousness that we have power. We have been given power to make changes that we are unaware of. How much of an influence we can have, and it ain't a big stuff. It's just little bitty things like planting. With the idea that I'm gonna plant, so I ain't got to be dependent on somebody else to provide me and my family with food. I'm gonna treat other people right, so that the vibe that I put into the universe, that positive vibe, is gonna come back. You know what I mean? I'm going to do whatever it is that I can think of, because there's billions of people on this planet. That means billions of ideas. And if all of us start planting that seed that I can do something by myself that's going to make a difference in the world, then just think about how that energy goes into the universe, and everybody who's on that same wavelength is going to start doing things that can help to make things better for everybody else. And so I urge all of you, just stop for a minute and say, what can I do and continue to do to contribute to the well-being of this planet that we all share, of this universe we all share? And each of you has something going on that you might not be aware of right now, but I'm asking you to stop at some point and ask yourself, what have I done to contribute to what's going on, and what can I do to make a difference and to make it better than it ever was? And so I know that's a lot, and it's just off the top of my head, but it's something I know I have to say, and you're going to be hearing more from me about this situation, because it's time, y'all, to make a move. This is not going to get back to normal. This is normal. What's happening right now, this is the norm, and we don't know how long it's going to take for us to get to a different norm, a different paradigm. But we have to start working on it as individuals, and we don't have to do nothing big, but do something. Do something. And thank y'all for listening. And as always, I'll holla.